Extinction is supposed to be the end. But what if it isn't? For millions of years, nature has written and erased stories, entire species vanishing from existence. But now, for the first time in history, humans are reaching for the eraser. Across secretive labs, in the cold silence of cryogenic vaults, and under the whirring hum of DNA sequencers, scientists are trying to do the impossible. They want to bring back the dead, not in myth, not in movies, but in real life. This is the dawn of de-extinction, a movement that's part science, part resurrection, and completely mind-bending. Imagine a world where herds of woolly mammoths once again thunder across Siberia, where the haunting call of the passenger pigeon fills the skies it once darkened, where a Tasmanian tiger, thought lost forever, prowls again in the wild. These are not fantasies. They're active projects. Some are led by world-renowned geneticists. Others by maverick researchers splicing fragments of frozen DNA like puzzle pieces of evolution. But the question is not just, can we? It's, should we? Because every comeback comes with a price. What happens when nature's balance is rewritten by human hands? Could reviving one species doom another? Or could it save our planet from ecological collapse? Over the next few minutes, we'll journey through time, across ice ages, jungles, and laboratories, to uncover 5 extinct animals scientists are desperate to bring back. And by the end, you'll understand why these projects might just redefine life itself. This is nature's second chance. In the frozen silence of Siberia, beneath layers of ice that haven't melted for 10,000 years, lies a secret with fur. The woolly mammoth, once the ruler of the Ice Age plains, vanished around 4,000 years ago. But now, it's closer to walking the earth again than ever before. In 2015, a team of scientists from Harvard University, led by geneticist George Church, announced something straight out of science fiction. They were piecing together a mammoth, gene by gene, from fragments of frozen DNA. Not cloning, not a Jurassic Park fantasy, but genetic resurrection, using living elephants as biological surrogates. The plan? To create a hybrid creature, part Asian elephant, part mammoth, capable of surviving freezing Arctic conditions. They call it de-extinction, and if they succeed, it could mark the first time in history that an extinct species walks again because of human hands. But why bring it back? The reason isn't nostalgia, it's climate change. The Arctic permafrost, once frozen solid, is melting, releasing ancient carbon into the atmosphere. Mammoths, once nature's engineers, helped maintain that frozen balance by trampling snow, knocking down trees, and keeping the tundra grasslands alive. Scientists believe that reintroducing mammoths, or their genetic successors, could help restore Arctic ecosystems and slow global warming. In other words, the comeback of the woolly mammoth isn't just about the past, it's about the planet's future. But not everyone is cheering. Critics warn that creating mammoths is a dangerous experiment, one that could disrupt modern ecosystems, or worse, lead to unforeseen suffering for the hybrid animals themselves. Yet for George Church and his team, the vision remains clear. If we can bring back a species that can heal the planet, he says, then maybe extinction doesn't have to be forever. In a hidden facility, researchers are already growing synthetic embryos with mammoth DNA. In the next decade, they expect to see the first calves, creatures that haven't taken a breath in over 4,000 years. Just imagine. A herd of woolly giants moving through the Arctic mist once again, their tusks glinting in the pale sunlight, the ground trembling beneath their feet. The Ice Age reborn. But is it resurrection or reanimation? That question will echo through the rest of this story. Because for every species we try to revive, we have to ask ourselves, are we bringing back life or rewriting nature's obituary? The mammoth may be just the beginning, but it's the one that could change everything. Once upon a time, the skies of North America weren't blue. They were alive. Billions of passenger pigeons would darken the sun as they passed overhead. Eyewitnesses said their flocks stretched for hundreds of miles, taking hours to pass. Their sound? Like thunder rolling through the forest. Their numbers? Unthinkable. No bird in history had ever existed in such overwhelming abundance. And yet, they're gone. The last passenger pigeon, a female named Martha, died in the Cincinnati Zoo in 1914. The last heartbeat of a species once numbering 3 billion. How does something so powerful vanish so completely? Humans. The passenger pigeon didn't fade. It was erased. They were hunted for sport, food, and profit. Entire forests were burned to chase the flocks out. In just a few decades, the endless sky became silent. But now, more than a century later, scientists want to undo that silence. In a quiet laboratory at Revive and Restore, a de-extinction company based in California, researchers are reconstructing the pigeon's DNA, one feather at a time. Using genetic material from museum specimens, they're splicing extinct pigeon DNA into the genome of its closest living relative, the band-tailed pigeon. The goal? To create a living bird that looks, acts, and flies like the passenger pigeon, a neo-pigeon, a modern echo of what was lost. They call it the Great Restoration. But this time, it's not just about nostalgia or redemption. Passenger pigeons played a massive role in maintaining North America's forests, fertilizing soil, spreading seeds, keeping ecosystems in motion. Their extinction left an empty role that no species has ever replaced. Bringing them back could mean restoring balance to an entire continent. But not everyone agrees. Ecologists warn that today's world isn't the same as the one the pigeons left behind. Modern forests have changed. Predators are different, and human cities now sprawl across what was once their migratory path. So if we bring them back, where would they even go? Could a world that destroyed them once ever truly welcome them again? Still, the scientists at Revive and Restore press on, because for them, this project isn't just about birds, it's about second chances. As one researcher put it, we're not playing God, we're repairing what humans broke. And perhaps that's the heart of de-extinction, a confession, a hope, a promise that maybe, just maybe, we can right at least one of our wrongs. So one day soon, if you look up into the morning sky and see a dark, moving cloud, you might be witnessing history flying again. The return of the passenger pigeon, a ghost, reborn in feathers. In the quiet wilderness of Tasmania, the forest breathes like an old memory. The mist moves between the eucalyptus trees, and for a moment, just a moment, you could swear something is watching you. A flicker of striped fur between the shadows, a flash of a long, stiff tail, and then gone. Locals whisper that the Tasmanian tiger never truly disappeared, but according to science, It did. The last confirmed thylacine died in 1936 in a small concrete cage at the Hobart Zoo. His name was Benjamin. He spent his final night shivering in the cold because a zookeeper forgot to let him inside. The next morning, the world lost its last thylacine, a quiet, lonely end for a magnificent creature. The last of its kind. But for decades, rumors never stopped. Hunters claimed to see stripes vanishing into the brush. Tourists swore they heard eerie barks echoing in the night. And every so often, a blurry photo or shaky video reignited the hope. Maybe it's still out there. Today, however, that hope has taken a new shape, one made of DNA and determination. At the University of Melbourne, scientists are working with an organization called Colossal Biosciences, the same team reviving the woolly mammoth, to bring the thylacine back to life. Using genetic material from preserved museum specimens, they're mapping the thylacine's genome and comparing it to its closest living relative, the Tasmanian devil fat-tailed dunnart, a tiny marsupial about the size of a mouse. It sounds absurd, but the two share over 95% of their DNA. The plan is to insert thylacine genes into living dunnart cells, creating embryos that could one day grow into real, living thylacines. Not clones, but reconstructed species. If they succeed, it would be the first time a carnivorous marsupial is resurrected. And Australia might once again hear the strange yip-yip call of its ghost predator. But as always, there's a question that lingers in the shadows. Should we? The thylacine wasn't wiped out by disease or disaster. Humans killed it, driven by fear, greed, and misunderstanding. Farmers once claimed the animal slaughtered sheep, though there was little proof. Yet entire populations were wiped out by bounties and traps. Bringing it back could mean confronting our own guilt and rewriting one of the cruelest chapters in conservation history. But there's something poetic about this mission too, because maybe the thylacine story isn't just about extinction. Maybe it's about forgiveness. One scientist in Melbourne said it best. If we can bring back the thylacine, maybe it means humans can learn from their mistakes, not just repeat them. And so, in a small lab filled with glowing incubators and whispers of hope, the striped ghost of Tasmania might soon walk again. This time, not as prey to our fear, but as a symbol of redemption. Some ghosts deserve a second chance.
We need to cross-reference with the dunnart's genomic sequence.
For centuries, the dodo has been the punchline of extinction, the symbol of foolishness. A bird that couldn't fly and was too dumb to survive. But that's not the real story. The dodo wasn't stupid. It was simply unprepared for humans. On the island of Mauritius, far out in the Indian Ocean, the dodo evolved in peace. No predators, no fear, no reason to run. It walked proudly through the tropical forests, feasting on fruits and seeds, its life simple and safe. Then, we arrived. Sailors from Europe brought rats, pigs, and monkeys, animals the dodo had never seen before. Creatures that raided its nests, destroyed its eggs, and tore apart the fragile ecosystem. Within just a few decades, an entire species that had existed for millions of years was gone. The last dodo disappeared sometime around 1681. Its extinction became one of humanity's earliest lessons in what happens when we take too much, too fast. But today, that same bird might be coming back. In 2023, Colossal Biosciences, the same biotech company behind the woolly mammoth and thylacine projects, announced a new mission: the resurrection of the dodo. Using DNA extracted from 400-year-old bones preserved in museums, scientists successfully sequenced the dodo's entire genome, a first in history. They then compared it with the DNA of its closest living relative, the Nicobar pigeon, a shimmering bird that still lives in Southeast Asia. By editing specific genes inside pigeon cells, they're working to recreate traits that made the dodo unique: its size, beak structure, and flightless body. But this isn't about cloning, it's about reconstruction. A biological mosaic built from memory and code. And if all goes as planned, the first dodo-like chicks could hatch within the next few years. Scientists are already discussing where the new dodos might live. Some dream of reintroducing them to Mauritius, restoring the forest ecosystems that have been missing their seed spreaders for centuries. But others warn that bringing them back to an island now crowded with invasive species could be dangerous, even deadly. After all, the dodo story is a tragedy born of innocence. Do we risk repeating it again? Yet despite the doubts, the excitement is real. Because if the dodo returns, it won't just be a bird. It will be a symbol. A reminder that extinction doesn't have to be the end of the story. And that maybe humanity can write a different ending this time.
The genetic sequence.
Somewhere in a lab right now, a small glowing egg is being watched under careful eyes. The scientists whisper, the machines hum, and inside that egg, a miracle might be waiting. A dodo heartbeat. From a tomb of dust and legends, the dodo is rising again. And this time, it won't go quietly. The ocean keeps secrets better than the earth ever could. Down in the blue darkness, where sunlight fades and pressure crushes steel, there are places untouched for millions of years. And somewhere in that abyss, some believe, something enormous still moves. The megalodon. The largest shark ever to exist. 60 feet of muscle, teeth longer than a human hand, and a bite force powerful enough to crush a small car. It ruled the oceans for nearly 20 million years. Then, about 3.6 million years ago, it vanished. But did it really? Every few years, strange reports surface. Giant silhouettes on sonar, half-eaten whales, unidentified shadows passing beneath research submarines. Most are hoaxes. Some are optical illusions. But a few are still unexplained. While marine biologists agree that megalodon is extinct, a different kind of scientist has other plans. In 2024, researchers from Colossal Biosciences, yes, the same company behind the mammoth and dodo projects, announced an early-stage proposal. Could we one day bring back megalodon DNA? The idea sounds insane. Sharks don't leave bones, only teeth. And those teeth are fossilized minerals, not genetic material. But new techniques in ancient protein analysis and comparative genome mapping might allow scientists to reconstruct sections of the megalodon's genetic code using living relatives like the great white shark and the mako. Theoretically, it could be possible to create a genetic chimera, a shark built with traits of its ancient ancestor. Imagine a shark longer than a bus, returning to a modern ocean already in crisis. Could that restore balance or destroy what's left? That's the ethical war now raging in marine research circles. Supporters say megalodon's return could help re-establish natural top-down control, reducing exploding populations of seals and whales that alter ecosystems. Critics say it's madness, an apex predator dropped into fragile waters that can barely handle microplastics. And there's a deeper fear. Once you resurrect the king of the ocean, how do you control it? In secret facilities, digital 3D models of megalodon embryos already exist. Some scientists simulate their swimming patterns, testing how they'd move, hunt, and breathe. Not in movies, but in data labs. Because to understand if you can bring something back, you first have to imagine it alive. The dream is seductive. To see that massive shadow glide again through deep blue water, the ocean trembling around it. But it's also terrifying. In a world where humans can't even protect living sharks from extinction, what business do we have summoning their ancient ancestor? Maybe the megalodon's extinction wasn't a tragedy. Maybe it was nature's decision. And if we reverse it, we might learn, too late, that the ocean remembers its monsters. Still, one can't help but wonder, what would it sound like? That first heartbeat, echoing through 60 million years of silence. Would we feel awe or regret? Either way, the deep will never be quiet again.
The scale model accounts for deeper pressure effects.
Extinction used to mean forever, but not anymore. Today, in quiet laboratories around the world, humans are learning to rewrite one of nature's oldest laws, that death is permanent. The woolly mammoth, the passenger pigeon, the thylacine, the dodo, even the mighty megalodon. They're more than ghosts. They're warnings. Because if we can bring back the past, we also inherit its mistakes. Science has given us the power to resurrect, but not the wisdom to decide when not to. Every project, every gene, every spark of rebirth forces us to face the same question. Are we bringing them back for the world or for ourselves? Maybe it's both. The mammoth could cool the tundra. The pigeon could heal forests. The thylacine could restore balance. The dodo could fix what greed destroyed. And maybe, in trying to bring them back, we're also trying to bring back something inside us. The part of humanity that still cares, that still believes in second chances. Because at the heart of all this technology and ambition, there's one thing we've never stopped wanting: forgiveness. Maybe that's the real de-extinction. Not of species, but of our own conscience. So the next time you see an image of a creature long gone, remember, extinction isn't just about loss. It's a test of who we are and who we're becoming. Because the question isn't, can we bring them back? It's, what kind of world are we bringing them back to? This is not the end of nature's story. It's a new chapter. If you want to see more stories of the wild reborn, hit subscribe, and let's explore the edge of science together. Because somewhere out there, the next miracle is already breathing.